We have over 155 referral partners that help us sign up kids throughout the county. And over the 15 years, I've worked really hard on those partnerships and that list of people. And it's such a blessing to be able to, within your private organization, have our registration forms and say to your families that have children under 5, we have this wonderful program. We'd like you to sign up your kids, and you're going to get 60-book library for free to your home. And all the books come shrink-wrapped in clear plastic, and it's labeled with the child's name. So it really is a fun gift in the mail each month for the children. And I get a lot of feedback from parents as the children get older and can go to the mailbox themselves and open it and see their book, how much they appreciate that, because kids really don't get mail nowadays, right? So it's a very special private thing for them to have their own private Imagination Library book each month.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Literacy Launchpad, Learn, Grow, and I'm so excited to welcome you with a new guest on today's episode. Today we'll be talking about Imagination Library. It's actually Dolly Parton Imagination Library, but most people just call it Imagination Library. And this special guest is going to be telling us about how this amazing program has impacted the community here in Onondaga County, how it's grown, its history, and all its things. Kim Kemp, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. I know we've been talking for quite a bit on how this episode, I feel personally, is such a big critical piece to the podcast. And for so many reasons, we know that literacy in our community in Onondaga County is such an important part of who we are. It's a part of our identity. And the program, Dolly Parton Imagination Library, has literally been embedded into our identity as a community. And I can't wait for you to share with our listeners, especially for those who may perhaps not realize their connection that they have with this program. So why don't we jump in for you to introduce yourself to the guests, to everybody that's listening here, to all of our audience, and then we can jump into a little bit more about the DPLI.
Sure. So as Jose mentioned, I'm Kimberly Kemp. I am the program director for the Imagination Library book program here in Onondaga County. And we brought the program here 15 years ago in May of 2010. And so we're celebrating our 15-year anniversary this year, which is very exciting. And we have over 16,000 kids enrolled in our program. We are considered the largest affiliate in New York State, which I'm very proud of. And 16,000 little ones are getting monthly books to their homes. And when you sign up at birth, you have a 60-book library before you enter kindergarten. And that's the magic of the program.
That's such a great summary, but I want to touch on 4 things you said there. Who you are, we come back to that. 15 years, which sounds crazy that this program's been around for 15 years. 16,000 books a month.
Yes.
And 60 books. A library of 60 books before you hit kindergarten.
That's right.
So there's a lot to chew on. Let's first go back to you. How did you come into this role? How did you, is this an idea that you had started to talk about and you found it someplace else? Tell us what really happened here and tell us about you.
Sure. So in my previous role, I worked for Congressman Jim Walsh, and one of my coworkers there, the head of our office, Jenny Carmody, took the role on as the executive director of the Literacy Coalition of Onondaga County when it was formed. And she and Dr. Frank Ritzie, that's vice president at the Central New York Community Foundation, heard about Imagination Library down in Tennessee. It was really just primarily in Tennessee at the time. There were a few little affiliates here and there all over the country, but it really, the mainstay was in Dolly Parton's hometown. And so they decided to look into bringing Imagination Library here. And once they made that decision to do it as a small pilot program in 2 Northside Syracuse zip codes, Ginny called me and said, Kim, I'm bringing this Dolly Parton Imagination Library program. You have your master's in elementary education, and I would love for you to come and run the program for me. So that's what brought me to Imagination Library. I really knew very little about it when we started. And, being a part of what I call the Imagination Library family, because it is now in 5 countries. It's in the United States, It's in Canada. It's in United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada. How can I forget Canada, our northern neighbors? So it is in 5 countries now across the world. And there are over 20 states now that have statewide Imagination Library, where every child under the age of 5 can sign up for Imagination Library within those states. And we're working very hard on getting New York State to be one of those statewide Imagination Library states.
I know we've had multiple conversations on this, but wait. So again, so many like golden nuggets. I missed one early on, which was the largest program in all of New York State. I said the 16,000 books, but the largest program, and that's a huge. New York State has what, 60 something counties? That may be completely off by that, so don't hold me to it. But like we're in Central New York. Central New York has so much culture and rich in diversity and inclusion and all those multiple pieces that make us such a unique place. But when we talk about our youth, our adolescents, and this program specifically from 0 birth to 5, to be the county that kind of kicked it off, to be the county that has the largest program, to be the county that distributes over 16,000 books, I'm sure we're not hitting everybody. I mean, there's got to be a gap that we're missing here, and we can talk more about that here.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a huge, I'm going to clap for that and like pat yourself on the back because that's just an amazing thing. And to see what you've built, like this is a legacy, Kim. This is some big stuff.
It is. And it really has taken the community, all of us working together in partnership. We have over 155 referral partners that help us sign up kids throughout the county. And over the 15 years, I've worked really hard on those partnerships and that list of people. And it's such a blessing to be able to, within your private organization, have our registration forms and say to your families that have children under 5, we have this wonderful program. We'd like you to sign up your kids and you're going to get 60 book library for free to your home. And all the books come shrink wrapped in clear plastic and it's labeled with the child's name. So it really is a fun gift in the mail each month for the children. And I get a lot of feedback from parents as the children get older and can go to the mailbox themselves and open it and see their book, how much they appreciate that because kids really don't get mail nowadays, right? So it's a very special private thing for them to have their own private Imagination Library book each month. And so it's our partnerships. Onondaga County is our major funder for Imagination Library. So we are so blessed to have County Executive Ryan McMahon and the county legislature that understands that an investment in early childhood education and literacy is an investment in our community. And we're so grateful to them. And that's all of those partnerships and the Literacy Coalition, of course, which Imagination Library is a part of, where we have several partners across our community that work with us to get the word out about Imagination Library. That is what has made it the success that it is today and why we have 16,000 kids enrolled.
Such a beautiful piece of education and culture that is being gifted to the youth and the adolescents and the children of our community. Now, you mentioned a little bit about how it works, but tell our listeners and our viewers more about what that process looks like. You talked a little bit about the history and where it came from and how it got to New York. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit how it works. And if someone who is potentially listening and doesn't know that this exists or their kid isn't signed up, what can they do?
Sure. So we have partnerships with all of the 3 birthing hospitals in Syracuse. So it's St. Joseph's Hospital, Krause Hospital, and Upstate Community. So they work hand in hand with us to make sure that every newborn in the county is born. When they're born, they're signed up. We work with the birth registrars a lot. While they're filling out their birth certificate information, they also just fill out the Imagination Library form. But if you're new to the community or somehow you slip through the cracks of the hospitals, you can sign up at our website, onliteracy.org is our coalition website, or you can go to imaginationlibrary.com and put in the check availability button, and that will get you to where you need to go to sign up for the program. And as long as you live in Onondaga County and you have children that are under the age of 5, you are eligible to enroll. So a child can start right at birth, and then their 5th birthday month is when they age out of the program. And what I'd like parents to know is that Imagination Library books don't follow you automatically when you move. So you need to fill out a change of address form. Or if you forget, I know it's hectic when you're moving, Each book label has my phone number on the back of it. So you can call my number and I will update the address for you anytime you move.
That's a very personalized service there, Kim.
I tried.
So a lot of big things there to let people know. And we'll obviously include the website for onliteracy.org and Imagination Library website on the show notes for people to follow later. So 3 major hospitals automatically registered at birth, 0 to 5. If you move, be sure to do a change of address or contact Kim Kemp to have your address changed.
Exactly.
Okay. How about if, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud here. Like, what can the program do? We know the impact that it's had, clearly 16,000 students, but when we think of that next step, what are you thinking here? What is that visual like? Because it's such an amazing thing right now.
I can tell you a little bit about, because we've done a lot of data collection. We have a measurement action team that we work with, and everything we do with Imagination Library, we're collecting data to show the impact of the program. And probably the most impactful thing that we did is a study that was conducted by Dr. Frank Ritzie and his colleagues in 2016. And we were looking at kindergarten readiness of children that had been enrolled in our Imagination Library program. And at that point, we had only about half the city that was eligible to be enrolled. So the other half was the control group of the study. And what we found is that children that were consistently enrolled in Imagination Library 2.5 or more years, which most children are, they were 30% more ready for kindergarten than their counterparts that were not in the Imagination Library program. And when the county executive at the time, County Executive Joni Mahoney, saw that study, she was very encouraged by that. And that's what really led us to go from, citywide to countywide eventually. And then the investment of the county in our program as well.
So 30%, this is 2016. So this is almost 10 years ago, this data. Maybe time for a new data set, right? Countywide review assessment.
I have to tell you, Imagination Library globally has done studies all across the world. And on their website is all of these incredible studies that are done. So Syracuse is just one of the studies, but there's so much information out there. We just had our Imagination Library conference and they did a worldwide study. I have to make sure I'm saying the correct Macquarie University in Australia. And they just did an incredible worldwide study doing surveys of parents. And what they found was absolutely amazing. I can read a couple of things that they found from the study. And this was across 5 countries. Children that are enrolled in DPIL are more likely to be read 4 or more days a week to. They're significantly more likely to be interested in books, more likely to show that they want to be read to, more likely to demonstrate key pre-emergent literacy skills. And that's really the center of the program. It's you're enhancing those pre-emergent literacy skills that are so critical for children to enter kindergarten ready to learn. Because when you're ready to learn, that sets the stage for your success in school. And when you get to 3rd grade and you're taking those ELA exams, children that are ready to learn at kindergarten consistently show that they're passing those 3rd grade ELA exams. So that's what Imagination Library brings to the table for our community.
What would you say when you talk about those pre-emergent literacy skills that you would want parents and caregivers and grandparents who are listening to this episode, listening to this show, when it comes to DPLI or Dolly Parton Imagination Library, that they've got this book their kid is all excited about because they're getting a new one a month, so it's changing. What should be the focus besides just reading it to them or helping them read it?
Well, that's just it. It really is as simplistic as that in so many ways, because it's that bonding experience that you're having by having your child sit in your lap and safely in this like cozy little environment with their parent or grandparent read this beautiful book. And all of the books are chosen very specifically by Dolly's Blue Ribbon Book Committee. So each age level is very specifically chosen for the concepts that it's kind of getting in the brains of our little ones. And so you start off with the baby board books where you're, looking at colors and animals, and you gradually go into more complex stories that are, go with each age level and each age group. But, it's the, even just physically holding a book and knowing how to turn pages. Knowing how to hold it upright and turn pages, looking at colors, counting books. So you're working a little bit on math, incorporating some science in there. There's some nonfiction books and fiction books in the collection. So that helps. And I think too, it's a very important homeschool connection. When kids can go into kindergarten, maybe they're a little nervous, going into kindergarten for the first time, and a teacher can bring out an imagination library book, and, hopefully everyone in that class can say, I have that book at home. It makes that homeschool connection. It connects them as a group. They can talk about what their favorite parts of the story are. So all of that is the magic that it is Imagination Library. It's not so much sitting down and teaching, because that's what they'll do in school. But it's the pre-emergent skills. Their brains are building. They're making all sorts of connections. We have a wonderful podcast talking about brain development coming up. And that's the beauty of Imagination Library. And when you read a book to a child, it's making all those connections in their brains, and those pre-emergent literacy skills are coming out of that experience for them.
It's happening naturally without really recognizing that you're kind of the modality for it.
Organically, yes, absolutely.
You were saying something that to me kind of sparked a little bit of a light bulb moment, and it really related to when we think about the impact, right, that this program is having on kids having this delicate resource. So many people may not have the means or the ability to get access to books, or maybe because of where they live, they don't have the ability to get to a library, or they don't have a library close to them. What has this program done for not just the Syracuse community, but the Onondaga County, which has so many rural parts of it?
Right. Yeah, it's so interesting because in our 15-year anniversary this year, we partnered with our libraries. So we had Happy Birthday Imagination Library Story Hours at 28 branch libraries across the county between May, and they'll be ending soon in October. And I was able to talk to parents a lot about the program and what their thoughts were. And I did have a lot of parents come up to me and say, we don't really have disposable income to be buying books. They seem to be getting more and more expensive to buy. And, having this gift come every month, and it's not even a book that I would think about, putting in my collection, but they become so important to the kids, and they love them, and just how it becomes their favorite book and their favorite story, and they read them over and over again. So I'm hearing a lot of feedback like that. I'm also hearing from families about the diversity of the collection. Imagination Libraries worked very hard to increase the diversity and the diversity of authors that are in the book collection. And they're saying they love that their kids can see themselves in the books. It's very important to families. There are also now dual language books, which is a wonderful, addition to any book collection. So there'll be, maybe an English word or an English sentence, then underneath will be the Spanish word and Spanish section. And that's the dual language right now, the English and Spanish. And in statewide programs now, some of them, parents can choose from getting, the English dual language current collection that is available here in our area, or they can do strictly Spanish speaking books.
Wow.
That's something that they're doing state by state in the statewide programs.
So we're kind of really lucky and fortunate that we have that accessible to us, even though we're not in a statewide program at this point.
You would have to be a statewide program to get the all Spanish books, but just in the collection in general, each age group has a number of books that are dual language.
So even if you're a person in a single language household, not a bilingual or multi-language household, you're still influencing literacy in a language format by getting that book.
Exactly.
That's pure magic.
It is.
I remember being a little kid, and I've said this on the podcast before, my first language is Spanish. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a strong English accent because both of the languages were taught to me literally at the same time. I learned Spanish first in speaking it, but once I started school, that Spanish was just speaking, but I already knew how to read, and then it was a focus on English, and the two together at home was insane. Don't know how I keep them in my head at the time, but yeah, that's just magic to hear to my ears as someone who went to school to be a Spanish teacher, to see that language is still a big part of how we're educating children at home. It gives me gives me goosebumps.
Right. And just also thinking about impact, just one more thing that popped in.
Yeah.
We also do what we call our Literacy Champion grants. And we've done that really since the inception of bringing Imagination Library here, where our partners can apply for grants. They're usually $10,000 or less to do literacy program around Imagination Library books. And over the years, we've just had wonderful partnerships. We've done wonderful grants to our refugee organizations where they bring in native language speakers to model reading imagination library books or working with imagination library books, to new Americans that have come to our community. We work with the zoo. I mean, there's just been such wonderful partnerships, and it just enhances the book experience and the books coming to the home, because that extra bit of information and modeling for parents.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned partners before, and I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. Yeah. When we talk about the partnership, you mentioned that the county is a big investor, donor to the program. Are there any other partners that you feel have either stepped up or found that they recognize the value and are investing into it? And what can members from the community who potentially may not be those huge financial partners, but can be the ones to spread the word or create awareness around it, what does that look like? And what would you want on board for that? How can someone become a partner?
Right. Well, the county is definitely our biggest partner, that's for sure. But we also work with the United Way as the fiscal agent of the Literacy Coalition. So I have to give them kudos. Their finance team helps us with all of our grants. We're so grateful to them. And they have been our partners since the Literacy Coalition was founded. Also, the Central New York Community Foundation, where Dr. Frank Ritzie works that I mentioned earlier. They have also been a major supporter and funder of the Literacy Coalition and our Imagination Library program. So those are our three really big main partners that have been with us since day one. The city of Syracuse over the years, and Mayor Ben Walsh has also committed funding to our program. So we're so grateful to the city. And, if anybody is interested in becoming a partner, we're always looking for partners. If you're interested in literacy or you just want to get involved in DPIL, give me a call. I would love to talk with you about it, because the more information we can get out and the more brochures we can get out to different community members, the more kids we can get enrolled. And I actually use my partners sometimes when kids move and maybe the phone number doesn't work anymore and, they didn't provide an email address. I'm able to reach out to my partners and have them contact a family and get updated address information that way. So it's beyond just them signing up the kids. Sometimes they can give me updated information so the books continue to go to the kids and as their clients, basically.
Yeah, so important to have that information up to date, especially when you're wanting to keep that tradition kind of coming.
Right.
And they kind of get used to they're like, oh, my book is coming in the mail.
Exactly.
When we think about the program itself, going back a little bit to the impact, before we hit the record button, we were just talking about a big thing that's coming next year. So we're in the 15th year. We know we distribute an average of 16,000 books a month. What's happening next year, Kim?
Yeah, so we're thinking early summer next year, we are going to hit our 2 millionth book delivery milestone, which is a huge milestone for a county.
Drop the confetti.
Yeah, but there are some states that have just hit that. And Onondaga County, I'm so proud, through all of the work that we've collectively done, is going to deliver its 2 millionth book.
So will we do something or see something where that kid who gets the 2 millionth book, or is that too much to figure out? What does that look like?
We are in the very initial planning stages. I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, we will be having a major celebration to celebrate 2 million books. And we will be bringing the community together and thanking our funders. And it's going to be great. So I can't wait to have this big celebration. We actually hit 1 million books right when COVID hit. So we were not able to properly celebrate the 1 millionth milestone. So we're going to go all out for 2.
But how crazy is it that this program is 15 years old? You hit 1 million books 5 years ago.
Yep.
And in 6 years later, you're hitting 2 million.
I know.
That is a short runway of 5 years goes by really fast. 6 years goes to hit another 1 million books. What could you do in 3 years from the 2 million mark? I'm just saying, when I think of that type of stuff, I get goosebumps as well. But lots of great celebrations. Could you tell us a little bit more about what this initiative means to potentially bring this statewide? We know that right now we're the largest in New York State from all the other counties that have come on board since then. And people used Onondaga County's DPLI program as their pilot or as their way of, guinea pigging it. But what does that look like for you? And what is your vision and kind of you know, you have this legacy you've initiated.
Mhm.
A lot of questions there, but what does that look like?
Right. Well, I do want to mention the beginning because I do want to say, so Dolly Parton started this program in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where she grew up in a one room cabin with her mom and dad and 10 brothers and sisters. And she really did it out of an inspiration and a love for her father because her father had to stop schooling early to help the family. And as a result, he never learned to read or write. And Dolly said that her father was just one of the smartest people she ever knew. And it pained her to watch him struggle throughout his life because he couldn't read and write. So she started this program while he was alive in his honor. And so he got to see the initial startup in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And I don't know if she ever thought at that moment that it would ever go beyond her hometown community. And, look at where we are now. So that was the inspiration. But in terms of here in Onondaga County, what it would mean if we went statewide, most statewide states, what they do is they pay 50% of your book order system bill. So it's about $3 per child for a book, which is, astounding when you think about going to the store and buying yourself a book. The Dolly Foundation and Dolly offset that cost for us as a foundation. So it's, a very reasonable cost for affiliates. And so that's what would happen. New York State would be paying for half of the book order system bill and affiliates would be paying for the other half. So it's a partnership and it would allow the affiliates to have more resources to enroll more children. And that's the goal, is just to keep expanding the program with the help of the funding that would come in from New York State.
So the $3 is what it costs if you were not an affiliate. And because we're an affiliate, we get a significant discount. But New York State would pick up that $3.
Well, New York State would pick up half of the bill. So whatever our book order system, for 16,000 kids over the course of that month, New York State would pay half of that.
Which seems like a nominal cost considering where our dollars go as taxpayers in the state of New York, considering what we would want the future of education to look like in our state compared to where our level of reading and the graduates and so many different metrics there, right? But
yeah. And like I mentioned, it's an investment in early childhood literacy it's really an investment in your future of your community, of your state, of your children going to school with those pre-emergent literacy skills ready to learn. And that's what we would love to have for New York State. And the more kids that are enrolled, the more kids that can have that chance to have those skills ready to go when they enter either pre-K or kindergarten or both.
Are you finding that the process to get us statewide has any roadblocks or any things that are kind of like preventing that, perhaps listeners or is it calling your congressperson, like what can we do as a community to help increase this program?
Right. Well, if you wanted to call your local state representatives, whether it's your assembly person or your senator or the governor's office, those are the people that are working towards this. And we have a lot of widespread support in both the state Senate and the state assembly. And even the governor last year had put in millions of dollars to the budget. But at the last minute of budget negotiations, some things came in that weren't expected. And, just like it happens every year, right? Some things have to get taken out so other things can get paid for. And, unfortunately, that's what happened the past couple of years. But I think we made the most progress we ever made last year. And, the Dollywood Foundation is working on it. We're working on it as affiliates. We're kind of all working together towards that common goal. Sometimes we reach out to parents and say, hey, if you wouldn't mind calling, we're trying to get this statewide. So it is an effort of everyone. We've all got to get on board to hopefully have this happen in the 2026 budget. But we're working hard to try to get it there. So we'd appreciate any support that people could offer.
Absolutely. It takes a village, and the impact of this program seems to not just see its fruits of its labor, but I think it's going to be exponential as we continue to see the need for it. And obviously investing in your communities, investing in the future of literacy, investing in the future of children. So important. Before we end today, is there anything that you would want listeners to have as a takeaway other than supporting the program?
Yeah, I would just like to say, I'm so grateful to the Dollywood Foundation for, allowing this program to exist worldwide now. And all the partnerships that I've made over the years and all of the organizations that work with us to get the message out about how important it is to talk, read, sing to your kids every day. And I appreciate the parents that I got to meet all the time, really, while I'm tabling, but at these library summer events, it's just been such a joy to meet them and to see the kids in their story hours say, Dolly Parton sends those books to my house, and make that connection. What the librarian's reading, they have that at home. It really is a magical program. And I'm just so grateful that I've had the chance to be the director for the past 15 years and that we get to celebrate 2 million books next summer.
And such big milestones. Well, Kim, this was an absolute pleasure. We'll have to have you back on when you hit 2 million books to celebrate that. Thank you so much for sharing the magic of what the Dolly Parton Imagination Library program has done for our community. And I can't wait to hear and see how it continues to grow and flourish. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Jose. It was my pleasure.